Welcome back to Faces of Abortion. We are so thankful for you being with us on our 5th season of Faces of Abortion, and also for Carla being with us, who is our state team leader with Operation Outcry from Wisconsin. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you, Cindy.
We're just excited to hear your story. I know that it is a story of healing and grace. I'd like for you to share with us, Carla, of what led you to the abortion experience and also how that has affected your life.
I spent many, many years of my life drinking and partying. I was in relationships I had no business being in, and I found myself pregnant at the age of 24. I was a nanny out on the East Coast and came back to Minnesota, and I only told 2 people. I really didn't know what to do. I was in a crisis. I was alone in my decision, and I was afraid. I was very afraid and very scared of my future, and I wanted to be a teacher. And I thought, how could I teach with a child, and how could I raise a child on my own, and would anyone ever marry me with a child? And I didn't know what to do.
Well, I know that there are probably those that are with us today, Carla, that they're maybe going through the same thing. And so what did you do next? What happened after all of those things occurred?
As I was thinking about what to do, I still wasn't sure, and I looked in the phone book in desperation. I wanted to fix this problem that I had, and I made a phone call and made an appointment at an abortion clinic, and didn't want to do it, but I didn't know what to do.
Now, you said that you went to an abortion facility, an abortion clinic.
Mm-hmm.
When you went there, did you speak with a professional? Who did you speak with when you went there?
I remember speaking with someone that I believe was a nurse. I was made to watch a video which showed like a clump of grapes which were red, and they told me that's what my baby looked like, or that's what it was. It was a bunch of cells, and that they told me I was 8 weeks along. I didn't have an ultrasound. I don't know how they thought they knew that. They just said that I was 8 weeks along, and many years later found out that I was closer to 11.
But did they tell you about the abortion procedure at all?
No, not at all. And I found myself with a nurse and a doctor. The nurse didn't tell me anything. She held my hand. The doctor came in, didn't look at me, didn't talk to me, and was very rough and very, very cruel. And I felt ignored and violated. I don't remember them saying anything about how painful it could be, and it was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced at that point in my life.
How did you feel after the abortion, Carla?
Immediately after, I was relieved. I was relieved that now I could get on with my life, and that problem was solved, and I could put it behind me, which is what they told me. I became angry and ashamed, and started drinking again. I worked from 8 to 3 as a substitute teacher, and at a group home from 4 to 10 p.m. every day. I knew that if I sat down long enough to think, that I would start really, really understanding what it meant about what I did. And I couldn't let that happen. And so I also didn't eat very much, and I exercised obsessively, and I started to hate my body and feel very ashamed and very guilty, and harbored this deep, dark secret.
It's so common for women who have gone through abortion that there is that feeling of relief, possibly at first, and then there becomes a feeling of, as what you talked about, sort of an obsessive, compulsive behavior. We've heard that with other guests that have been on the show. And then oftentimes after a period of years, then there becomes a time of recovery and a time of healing. Share with us about your time of recovery and healing, because I know that you've gone through that, and how the Lord is using you now.
After many years, I was still hiding my secret, and in my shame, I just kept stuffing it. And I did get married, and we wanted to start a family, and so we got pregnant right away, and I was thrilled to find that out and see the ultrasound, and I was very excited about that. At about 10 weeks and 6 days along, which is what I was, I found out I was more closer to 11 weeks with the abortion. I was told my baby's heart had stopped beating, and I was told I would pass a plum-sized clot. But what ended up happening is I delivered that baby into my hand, and I held that baby, and I looked at that baby and saw a face and arms and hands and fingers and toes, and it was one of the most beautiful things I had ever seen. And then I knew what I had done, and I believe God used that to show me, because I don't think I would have listened or seen in any other way how real that child was to me, and I could not deny the humanity of my baby anymore. And so I began the process of healing and surrendering to Christ and telling him how sorry I was for the abortion, how sorry I was that I killed my child. And I did the Forgiven and Set Free Bible study, and I continued to read and to pray and to reach out to others. I did some speaking. I did some things with Silent No More, and I felt his presence and his peace and his grace, and I did not walk in shame anymore.
And I know, Carla, that as the Lord brought you through that healing process, that he also had you complete one of the declarations from Operation Outcry. Share with us how the Lord took you through that process, and then how he also used you to bring your testimony to government officials in Wisconsin.
I filled out my declaration probably 3 years ago and wanted to use that story to further pro-life legislation, and so I had to get it notarized, and I filled it out and sent it in and forgot about it. I was called by Tracy last year, and she said that Wisconsin had a no coercion bill about abortion coming up, and unfortunately I was unable to make it to testify for that, but really felt that I was being led by God to get more involved in Operation Outcry, and wondered what that looked like, but really felt ready to be part of something bigger than myself, and prayed for so many years that God would use my story. And so I accepted the position of Wisconsin State Team Leader for Operation Outcry.
And we're so thankful that you did, because we believe that the Lord's using your voice as one of the millions of voices of women that are out there, and that you had the courage to go ahead and complete that declaration, which we have online, and how the Lord is using that before the legislature and before the nations. Just, Carla, as we're getting ready to close, there are other women that are with us today, and I would like for you to just share and encourage them in completing not only healing, but completing a declaration.
If you find yourself alone and hurting after your abortion, I urge you to complete a declaration, fill that out and send it in. Call the helpline if you feel alone and lost. There is hope to be had and healing, and there are women that would love to help you today. So please call.
Thank you, Carla. And we do want to encourage those that are with us today to call our helpline, 1-866-482-LIFE, and see what the Lord will do in your life as he has done with Carla. Thank you, Carla.
You're welcome.